Welcome to another edition of Fansview Friday. Let's just test a few things here. Looks like we're good to go. This week's Fansview Friday, I know it's been a while since we've been online, just been really busy with the holidays and all. This is going to be a special episode of Fansview Friday. I'm covering Anime Central 2001 because a colleague of mine and a very well beloved figure of the anime fandom community had passed this week. We got the news this week that anime fandom, anime industry legend Jan Scott Frazier had passed. And the reason why I'm covering Anime Central 2001 is this is the convention where I was first acquainted with Jan Scott Frazier. And before we begin, because this is also Fansview Fridays, this is also an homage to Kevin Lillard's website that documented fandom in the 90s and 2000s. Kevin Lillard also had something called Anime Convention Personality of the Week. And for the week of January 20th, 1998, Kevin Lillard highlighted Jan Scott Frazier. Now, mind you, when I read this Personality of the Week out loud, I will do my best to use correct pronouns because at the time Jan was presenting male. So I will do my best to use the correct pronouns to properly honor Jan's memory. Okay, so we're going to open this up with the convention personality profile for Jan over here. Anime Convention Personality of the Week, January 20th, 1998. Jan Scott Frazier is at home in Japan, where she has worked as an artist, animator, and producer in the demanding anime industry. She is just as comfortable in the US and at anime conventions, where she has become something of a designated costume contest judge at least 2 conventions in 1998, including Anime Expo, the largest convention in the country. There are plenty of American fans who have strong opinions about anime, but Frazier stands out. She is one of the fortunate people who has been in the middle of the industry with companies such as Production IG and can tell the stories of the real world of anime. Okay, here's Jan over in Illinois, Anime Central, where she shared a panel with Robert DeJesus. And in this report that we're going to be covering for Anime Central 2001, Jan officiated the wedding of Robert and Emily DeJesus, and I was there. Then Frazier judged the Anime Central cosplay. You can see Jan over here, and oh, Nurse Angel Rika. I do love me some Nurse Angel Rika. It's one of my favorite animes growing up because I'm a magical girly. I'm still a magical girly to this day. Then here we have Anime Expo with Amanda Wynn Lee, and where Frazier again was a cosplay judge. At Otakon, meeting with Shoji Kawamori. And let me tell you, a few friends and I, we went to Shoji Kawamori's panel at Anime Expo this year, 2024. Shoji Kawamori, I don't know what his routine is, but he still looks exactly like this. 24 years later, he has not aged a day. I want to know what your secret is, Shoji. We don't have a photo here, but translating for Hiroyuki Kitazune at NekoCon and trying to make sense out of a panel question. So this is basically the profile that Kevin Lillard wrote up for Jan Scott Frazier for the Anime Convention Personality of the Week. I am envious that I know people who have known Jan as well as they did, because I only started getting to know Jan during our weekly chats over at the old school anime convention Discord, where she would show up from her hospital bed and she would tell us stories about working in the anime industry. And just last night we had a virtual wake in the Discord channel, and people were just sharing stories about Jan working in the animation industry in Thailand, nearly getting shot in China. So I just really wish I could have spent more time in those Discord chats, listening to her stories and getting to know her a lot better. Maybe if we had like one or two more chats together. Um, I'm just at a loss for words right now, because every time I go through these convention reports from Kevin Lillard talking about how Jan was such an integral part of fandom in those late 90s, early 2000s, and just being a part of panels, being a part of sharing her stories working in the industry, being a cosplay contest judge. These to me were like, yeah, I kind of wish I could just go back in time just to relive it all over again, because when I heard that Steve Bennett's wife had passed, Nikki, I didn't really know Nikki. I've only met Steve Bennett in passing a few times. I attended some of his workshops. But there's just some people out there I just really wish I could have got to know much better throughout the years. And so as long as I'm continuing on Fansview Fridays, Jan's memory and the memories that Kevin also shared on his website will never die. And this is just part of my mission as an fandom archivist, fandom historian, that none of this gets lost through time. Because as we learned a couple months ago, archive.org is still a very fragile website. So we're going to do our best to preserve a lot of this historical record, because a lot of these can be seen as historical documents of a time gone by. So thank you so much, everyone, for supporting Fansview Fridays, liking and watching our videos, commenting on our channel. Keep supporting us. I love doing what I do. I love telling the stories of the past, and thank you again for all your support. And Jan, Kevin, I really miss y'all, and I wish we could have spent more time together in those days. All right, with that said, let's move forward and let's discuss Anime Central 2001. All right, I was at this con. I actually did a panel at this convention. I was part of the online voice acting panel. So like, you want to learn how to do fan dubs, you want to get into online voice acting. That was the panel I was on. My flight landed literally an hour before panel start time, and I was relaxed. I was feeling cool. I was okay. I had my notes ready to go with me. Yeah. These days I'd be a lot more stressed about it, but I'm like, wow, I had to give myself some kudos for feeling as relaxed as I did about it. All right, let's start with Anime Central, May 11th through the 13th, 2001 in Arlington Heights, Illinois. Here we have Kirby Morrill and Scott McNeil. We're at the Chicagoland event. Oh yeah, Kirby Morrill, that's also another immemorial. I actually did meet him at this convention. Really sweet, really fine-looking young man. All right, let's just take a look at the pictures first. Who got to the convention first? Yeah, I want to know that. I didn't show up until like Friday afternoon, early afternoon. That's when my flight landed. All right, the author got to the Sheraton Arlington Park at 3:30 a.m. to avoid Chicagoland traffic. He found this pack of fans in the lobby. And of course, Steve Bennett of Studio Iron Cat was in the middle of the pack. Here's what the good part of the lobby looks like. The hotel was torn up for construction, and fans had to make an expressway-like detours around the mess. Fan David Zinn was on hand. One of the two known fans had played Roger Smith of the Big O before it was cool. I need stories behind that. I do love me some Big O. Grego, the anime match game, showed his badge appropriately with a picture of Gene Rayburn, the original TV host of the game. Becca of Nondiscon and Stan of Anime Weekend Atlanta insisted on this picture to show fans that there are no hard feelings between their conventions, even though both events are on the same weekend in 2001. The guest of honor appeared at an enthusiastic opening ceremony. All right, let's just take a look at our guest of honor here. Carl Horn, Viz manga editor, served as the master of ceremonies. For guest of honor, which began with CB Sabolsky of Fanboy Entertainment. I haven't heard that name in a while. It isn't a con without Steve Bennett or Doug Smith of Studio Iron Cat, or actor Brett Weaver on hand to talk about his newest roles. Artist Bruce Lewis, actor Amy Howard Wilson, and her husband David Wilson shared the scene. But why was Horn wearing bunny ears? Horn borrowed the ears from animator Jan Scott Frazier, who promised a big surprise during the convention. More actors: Kirby Morrow, Troa Barton from Gundam Wing, Scott McNeil, Duo Maxwell from Gundam Wing, and Wendy Lee, Faye Valentine in Cowboy Bebop. The convention hosted its first Japanese voice actor, and Yuko Kagata, a new voice on the seiyuu scene. Then came the contingent of Japanese artists, illustrator Shin Nagasawa. I think I still had the program from this convention. Video game illustrator Yoshio Yamakawa, Mika Akitaka, creator of Galaxy Fräulein Yuna, Range Morata, who designed the Beast for Blue Submarine number 6. Ooh, and Kiyosamiya of Steam Detectives and Silent Mobius creator. Okay, now I've seen more anime now since 2001. Like, now I know, like, okay, Kiyosamiya was there during my first Anime Central. Wow. Indiana artist Robert D. Jesus was a late arrival. The triad that ran the convention apologized for the wrecked state of the Sheraton Arlington Park, where construction started as the convention began. They announced that the next Anime Central would be at the Hyatt Regency O'Hare on April 19th through the 21st, 2002. I was there for that one too. Okay, here are the first of the Illinois cosplayers from Friday morning. All right, we're also going to see, like, let's see if I'm in this. All right, we got some Escaflowne cosplayers here. Not sure who this is. I'm getting some, it's giving Shin-chan right now. I want to say that's from G Gundam. Just scrolling through here. Oh, we got 10 pages of cosplay goodness. Oh my. Just kind of just scroll through these Friday cosplayers right here. And of course, we did mention that we did have some Gundam Wing voice actors from the English dub. So yeah, we got Duo Maxwell, we got Kata, we got Troa. We also have, I believe that's Cypher from Final Fantasy VIII. It's been a while since I've been acquainted with 8. It's not really my go-to of the Final Fantasies. Hang on, I have a cat here on my desk. I think he heard the word Gundam, was like, ooh, Gundam. I want Gundam. Okay, and also we have a couple more costumers here. Looks we have a, I am assuming that's Ranma and a Goku. Whoa, that's really highlighting. We got Vash here. I think I know this Vash. We have a Rose Bride, a couple characters from Slayers, and a part of Miyaka. Got a Cardcaptor Sakura over there. Wow, this really takes me back. Have Amelia over here. Ooh, we have a third opening Sakura. Oh, it finally loaded. So yeah, we could have a Miyaka over there. I believe this is Noelle from I Wanna Be an Angel, and looks like there's an Utena jacket right next to them. Vampire Princess Miu. I swear, we need to come up with a list of the best anime girlish ghouls. Because you know how here in the West we have our Morticia, we have Elvira, Vampira. We need to like just compile a list of anime's best ghoul gals. Yeah, I put Tomoe on there. Miu, definitely. We have like one of the many Wolfwoods of 2001. Oh yeah, I remember when Digikara was a thing. And I also remember when Cabets were a thing too. Yeah, looks, I believe this is from, this looks familiar. No, it is not Comey from the past. It is giving Comey vibes. Outlaw Star, I believe, I think. But feel free to correct me on that. And we also have Mai from King of Fighters. I'm not sure if I know that Mai. The face looks very familiar. Inuyasha, Hitomi from Escaflowne. We have Kiki. Looks like we got a Ranma there. And like I mentioned in previous streams, like Ranma was like easy cosplay. Well, easy in terms of like just get yourself like a Chinese jacket in Chinatown or like a Chinese dress and just figure it out. It can either be Ranma, it can either be shampoo. Ritsuko was also easy mode back then too. Because it's just like lab coat, turtleneck, short skirt. I know this handsome fella and his lovely wife. This is my buddy here, cosplaying as Professor Tomo. We're probably gonna show photos of it later, but we did it like the most random, unhinged masquerade skit where Professor Tomo was hosting a beauty pageant. I'll let you wrap your brain around that one. Yeah, some of my buddies here. I believe that's Nando. I'm not sure what he's cosplaying from. And then that's also my buddy over there cosplaying as Kim Kaplan. No, that is not Rico, but Rico did cosplay as Kim Kaplan. I think that's Sailor Bubba cosplaying as Pretty Sammy over there. And we also have Princess Sakura on that side right by the phone booth. Talk about a time capsule. Remember phone booths? Gen Z probably doesn't. We have the Zelos over there. Sora Himitsu desu. We have another King of Fighters cosplayer over there. I'm not very versed in King of Fighters, so y'all help me out here. I love that the third opening of the Cardcaptor Sakura outfit was like one of the popular cosplay choices at the time. I actually did consider, actually, you know what? I actually did make that outfit for Halloween. I only wore it once. And I never wore it again. Maybe I should change that and make a new one. Yeah, we have some Kenshin cosplayers over here. Sometimes I see someone in a priestess outfit. I'm just not quite sure what series they're supposed to be from because it can go in different directions. Like Arashi from X, Rei from Sailor Moon, Sakura from Urusei Yatsura. Scrolling down. Yeah, a lot of Pretty Sammy cosplayers in 01. I was also a Tenchi fan. But if I were to cosplay from Tenchi, I would cosplay it as Achika, like in her like final form in the movie, because I love Tenchi Muyo in Love. It was like one of my first anime movies. It was like my intro to Tenchi Muyo and most harem anime. I'm not really a harem anime person, but there's a few that stand out. There's a few bunch I enjoyed in the early 2000s. But then again, it just kind of got carried away as the 2000s progressed. Okay, we got some more Escaflowne cosplayers here. Got Guilty Gear. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of harem anime. And hey, we got Komi in the chat. Someone cosplaying from Animal Magnetism. Boy, howdy, did that cause quite a stir when people found out what Animal Magnetism really was. There's my friend over here cosplaying from Mega Tokyo. Wow, who remembers Mega Tokyo? Ah, sweet. I love this Belletta cosplayer. I'm just in love with that lace. Like, as a seamstress, like, I'm just in love with, like, just, like, the smallest of details. Oh, we got the Fruit Maids. And I believe it or not, the Ray in this photo is actually my spiritual advisor. She actually does tarot and Reiki. There's Rabian Rose. We have Sakura and Tomoyo. This makes me happy seeing like Cardcaptor Sakura cosplays. And over here, if you look in the background, you can see like a bulletin board. This is where you would like post if you have like a party going on. This is where you would post your room party info. Because we don't have like didn't have like HD cameras back then where we can kind of zoom in, like we can't really quite zoom in because the only thing I can legibly read is Hellfest. Yeah, Gallery from Slayers, Magic Knight Rayearth. I still need a cosplay for Magic Knight Rayearth. Yeah, there's my buddy cosplaying as Selphie from Final Fantasy VIII. Believe it or not, she is actually a professor at the University of Chicago. She teaches communication and a lot of video game theory related classes. And over here is actually one of my close friends. We still even talk to this day. She goes by Sora, and this was her Sailor Uranus musical outfit commissioned by Setsuna Ko. Just scrolling down here. Yeah, I love this Relina over here. Like, oh my god, I love the epaulets. Ah. I just hope there's no photos of me on day one because I wasn't really cosplaying on day one. I was just like wearing like my cringy things that I used to wear back in the early 2000s. Oh wow, I remember Two Heart. That this takes me back. Oh my god, Kuroneko. Okay, I love Trigun Stampede. Don't get me wrong. But what kept me from really fangirling over Trigun Stampede was the serious lack of Kuroneko. Okay, Friday evening. Okay, I was already there on Friday evening. We have the Kuroneko again. And we have Sakura in one of her many outfits. Have Miyaka and Yui. I remember these dudes, the lane people. Yeah, I agree. Trigun Stampede is amazing. I love it, but like, oh my god, I just miss Kuroneko. I used to have a Kuroneko plush somewhere. It was like, I think it's like in storage. But I would love to like just have like Kuroneko merch. Like Kuroneko keychains, Kuroneko acrylics, a brand new Kuroneko plush. Because I do appreciate how they're like just pumping out a lot of Trigun Stampede merch. I'm like, can we give Kuroneko some love? Oh, they're actually gonna make a new season? Has season 2 been confirmed? Because I would definitely watch again. Neon Larva, I love it. Yeah, just scrolling through here. And some of these are actually like my hotel mates. That's actually like one of my hotel mates cosplaying as Katori from X 1999. Yeah, a lot of Slayers cosplayers I'm seeing. I love how his cigarette over here is just kind of like slightly bent. We have Mononoke. Another Hitomi, and we have Ash in the background. Looks like we got Kamui from X 1999. I think around at this time I was kind of grabbing a steak dinner. There's something about Midwest steak that hits different. Kodomo, oh no, Child's Toy. I keep forgetting the Japanese, how to pronounce the Japanese name of that series. I just call it, yeah, it's Child's Toy. Has Sana and her wacky adventures, her mom that wears a scroll on her head. Oh wow, I love that Godzilla. Oh my god, look at that Moogle, it's so fluffy. No, it might be in the background in some of these photos. No? Yeah, I was gonna comment like I might be in the background in some of these photos in my leather jacket and shades. All right. We chased down some Saturday morning cosplayers. All right, who was all right, let's take a look at folks who cosplayed Saturday morning. It's just really interesting to see like how people did like a lot of these more intricate costumes back then. Cuz remember, we had very limited resources. Like I love how this guy like just made like the church on the chapel here. Cuz I used to carry around the chapel, a dollhouse chapel with me. Oh, that's an awesome Captain Tyler. Yeah, Captain Tyler. That's like one of my favorite animes from like way back when. Aw, I like the Usagi. And also just take note of like the costume shiny satin that we kind of had to succumb to. It's a pretty good cloud. We also have Yui again from Fushigi Yugi. Looks like we have Black Lady / Wicked Lady, whichever terminology you prefer. Oh yeah, we also have quite a bit of a Martian successor, Nadeshiko. That was also one that I really enjoyed watching back in the day. I love this expression, that Rei Ayanami. I'm assuming that this is Sailor Saturn because like is it also Sailor Zoisite, because there was that time in the TV series where Zoisite went in drag and disguised themselves as Sailor Moon. Ah, Alita. I actually saw the live action Alita movie. It needs a lot more love. It is an amazing movie and a really faithful adaptation to the original source. I was quite surprised, and I admit I was apprehensive when the movie came out, and it was like one of those movies that just kind of came and went. Oh, that's an amazing Space Channel 5 cosplayer. Yay, it's Utena. Yeah, Utena is like one of my next cosplay projects. I have most of the materials ready to go. It's just a matter of like just finding the time to like put everything together. Hey, Black Mage, what's up? Okay, I think we're getting into dead photo zone here. Ah, Socrates and Paris Decol. And we have my buddy Alex costuming as Patty O'Green from Rainbow Bright. We have Lady Un. Lady Un was like one of my dream costumes. I just never got around to it. Okay, it looks like we're like in dead zone right now. Okay. Bunches of costumers arrived around the noon hour. We got Great Sandman. Oh, that's a cute Yuffie. We have some animal magnetism going on right here. Oh, check out this familiar face. Hi, me. Hi, past me. For those of you who don't know, I'm cosplaying as Min-Mei from Flashback 2015, 2014, 2012. Whichever Macross sequel series of music video clip show it was. Towards the end, you see a much more grown up, much more mature Min-Mei as she's like saying farewell to Earth and boarding the brand new Omega Road. And she's like wearing like this white dress. And that's like, hey, I have something like this in my closet. I could cosplay as this version of Min-Mei that only shows up for like 5 seconds. And I did. Folks nowadays might think I'm cosplaying as a female version of Muzan. Oh, there's me again. Hi. It's me. Hi. I'm the problem. It's me. We got Hinoto. Hinoto was like one of my other dream costumes. After seeing Yaya Han's interpretation of Hinoto, like, yes, I want to make something as amazing and as elegant as that. Got the cut from Valley of the Wind. Still need to see that movie. I know there's a list of like anime movies that I have not seen. Just slowly scrolling. We have Sakura in the Neko outfit. Again, that's like one of my cosplay goals is to make that Neko outfit. I've seen different ways on how people do like the black parts of the outfit. I have ideas and what material I want to use. That's Christy as character Yui and Sora as the Rose Bride. We also have Alice Madness Returns. Oh, we got Digimon over there. I'm so happy like seeing like the plethora of like Nadeshiko cosplayers. Ah, nice. So like some of the running jokes with Kevin Lillard was sometimes he'll take a photo of you like while you're eating something. And this just happens to be one of them. Shermie. Shermie's one of my dream costumes, but I kind of would feel like a poser because I honestly never played King of Fighters, but people would always come up to me and tell me like, hey, you would make an awesome Shermie. I do like her design. I do like her aesthetic though. Oops, let me just check something real quick. Let me just refresh this really quick. Okay, we got Iron Mouse. So I remember when Iron Mouse was a Sailor Animate, one of the villains from Sailor Moon. Like nowadays Gen Z be like, yeah, Iron Mouse, yeah, I follow her, yeah. Like, yeah, I remember when Iron Mouse was like a Sailor anime. Gosh, people. Just kidding. We have some folks here cosplaying from the Sailor Moon musicals. We got Subaru from Tokyo Babylon. Again, that's Laura over here as Mars. Again, she was also my spiritual advisor as well. It's just amazing, like, what connections you meet back then and what role they play in your life in the present. Looks like we have, I want to assume that is a Princess Serenity and a Prince Diamond. I prefer using the name Prince Diamond for this character, because I think in the Japanese they call him like Prince Demando. Oh, that's a really awesome jury from the movie. Yeah, we have Ayaka from Tenchi. Okay, I think we're starting to go into no photo zone. Hey Rams, welcome, glad you can make it. We are like just drowning in like childhood anime nostalgia here. Okay, all right. I'm so happy to see like Legato cosplayers. I was actually very happy at San Diego Anime Con to see like a Legato cosplayer. Yeah, if you recognize any of these fandoms, any of these cosplays, just shout them out. It also makes me happy seeing like Nadeshiko cosplayers. You Get to Burning is like one of my all-time favorite anime openings. Yeah, us otaku millennials, like we just had like the best childhood growing up with all these anime titles here. Okay, so we next is the costuming collection got intense on Saturday afternoon. Let's see how intense this got. Okay, looks like we got Final Fantasy VIII. Got some Kenshin. Just makes me happy seeing like all the love for like shoujo anime back then. Because I really don't like this kind of misogynistic view on shoujo anime these days. Like, ew, shoujo, shonen's better. I'm like, no, like we can all love them. There's plenty of room for shoujo and anime fandom. Or the thing I don't like is like, ew, Pretty Cure. You know that's a ripoff of Sailor Moon. Like, no, both can exist. Both can be enjoyed. I'm also looking at the dealer's room here because I remember the dealer's room was just like in like a mid-sized ballroom. I'm trying to remember if I bought anything that year. I may have like maybe bought like the first volume of Ayashi no Seres. Because I think this is the year I started reading Ayashi no Seres. I love that Yukio. Oh, looks like Kevin took another photo of me here. And I actually did bring my shades with me, so I tucked my shades like right on my belt. Like Min-May in this version didn't wear shades. So I just ended up like, okay, sun's gonna be a bit too bright. I'm gonna put my shades right here. Hi Neo Jupiter, welcome. Glad you can make it. We're just looking at some cosplay photos on Fansview's Anime Central 2001 website. I love that belt, Andy. I want to learn magic. Maho Suke Tai. I remember watching that anime. I got the Fansa VHS tapes and I had no idea of what to expect. And like, oh, this is a little bit more adult than your standard fare of shoujo. And it was also like my intro to boys' love outside of Sailor Moon. Slayers. I am actually happy to see like a lot of Slayers cosplays come back these days, because I was happy to see a Slayers cosplayer at San Diego Anime Con a couple weeks ago. I've noticed something like in the cosplay competition community that a lot of folks that identify as elder millennials or just millennials in general, or like elder Gen Z types, they're actually bringing a lot of old school, by old school 80s and 80s, 90s, and 2000s, early 2000s fandoms back onto the stage. I love that SDF1 uniform. I want to assume that's Captain Global, but I love that. I love that SDF1 uniform, that Macross uniform. I don't know what this eye thing is here, but it's pretty awesome. Oh, it is Macross 7. Yeah, you're right. Oh my god. I hate to admit this. I mean, I love the music from Macross 7, but sometimes I forget that anime exists. I know, it's so bad to admit that. That's my buddy Isaac. Got some cosplaying from Two Heart. Okay, so the eyeball thing from the previous page is from Guilty Gear. This is a beagle with a drink, I think. Oh, that's an amazing Umi. I have an unfinished Umi cosplay somewhere in storage. I will make it a point to like finally finish that Umi cosplay. Now looks like we have some form of lum over there. I know this is supposed to be from Angel Sanctuary, because I actually did take a photo of this cosplayer. I could not get into Angel Sanctuary. The themes were just a little bit too much for me. Like, when it's literal blood brother and sister hooking up, like, it's not my thing. Okay, Cham Cham from Samurai Showdown. Okay, I had no idea. Yeah, more Sakura. We have a denim Renoa here. Oh, we have Shermie. Yeah, had I had time at San Diego Anime Con, I probably would have just like parked myself in front of King of Fighters 98 and then being all like, okay, if I want to cosplay from this, at least just let me just play and test this out. And of course, the King of Fighters console was in the hentai room of all places. No, you're not mansplaining. Because I'm not quite sure what these are. You are providing insight. It would be mansplaining if I already knew what it was. I get Asian-splained a lot, which I find funny. When you have like these otaku who think they like know everything about Asian culture and try to Asian-splain me about like how Asian parents parent. Like, no, I have a lived experience. Don't Asian-splain me. Hope that it clarified what splaining is. Oh, Neo Jupiter, what did you cosplay as that? As in at Anime Central 2001. I believe that's Sailor Bubba over there as Pretty Sammy. Rory from Nadeshiko. You're all stupid. Looks like they were doing like a game of sorts. Wow, 23 pages. Okay, let's get through this. Because remember, like, it was a long line. We were like towards the end, our group for Masquerade. Oh, Wedding Peach. Saber Marionette. Yeah, I was in the Masquerade as Utena. I was in this masquerade group where we came up. Oh my god, is that a... It's a writing bean. That's awesome. Rally was here, Chicago police. Aw, Sakura. Yeah. Oh, I've never seen anyone do this version of Miyaka, and someone was asking me, like, when are you going to do that version of Miyaka? I'm like, you know what? Challenge accepted. Let's go. And then I'll show up to a convention, and people were like, I love your Genshin Impact cosplay. Yeah, I was running around as Suzaku no Miko, and people thought I was cosplaying from Genshin Impact. And of course, like, back in my day, this was Iron Mouse. There's Wicked Lady. Oh, we got some Tokyo Babylon goodness here. I do love me some Tokyo Babylon, because I do like my Boys Love Inks series with a fashionable female protagonist. I think I know where this is going. Do I? No. Oh, there you go. I'm just leave this here for a bit. Yeah. Like, everyone say hi to baby Neo Jupiter here. Okay, let's check it out here. This is a pretty good Guilty Gear group over here. Yeah, I couldn't see all of Masquerade because we were just kind of like lining up right outside where the Masquerade was being held. Because we didn't have like a live TV feed. We're just kind of like just waiting in line, just hanging out. Just kind of going over our lines again because during this time, like, we couldn't pre-record our Masquerade audio. I don't think it was an option. It had to be performed live. But I think my friends, they were in Masquerade and they were able to pre-record their audio. Because they did the, I'll show the, eventually it's going to show up. It's like the giant Pocky box and the Anime Central mascots. And they sang YMCA, but instead of YMCA, it's ACEN, ACEN. Yeah, a lot of these Guilty Gear costumes are like, oh my god. Like, I'm just happy to see, like, fandoms of my childhood, like, just being, like, the norm here. Like, don't get me wrong, I like a lot of the new stuff, too. I mean, yeah, I'll cosplay from Demon Slayer, I'll cosplay from My Hero Academia, but I kind of wish to, like, if I could just go back and just really appreciated, like, what we had back then. Because I didn't start cosplaying from Shugi Yugi until, like, maybe 2 years ago. Because, yay, now I have the skill and know-how to make all of this. And I have the time and the budget. Okay. Are we in dead image zone here? I think we are, sadly. Looks like, oh, okay, we still have more. Because I have a couple of friends who also did some Masquerade skits here, too. So we'll do as best as we can. We have Captain Harlock over here. I was very close to naming my cat Captain Harlock because he has like a black patch over his eye. It's like one of his top names when we were figuring out, like, what should we name our eye patch cat? There's our friend from Slayers over there. Oh my god, is that a Iris from Sakura Tyson? Oh geez, that's from Project Eiko, isn't it? Aw, check out that Sakura. Oh, this is my buddy Henry's skit. So this is like my intro to Para Para Paradise. Okay, so yeah, back then you could pre-record audio, but at your own risk. By at your own risk, your audio can get screwed up. So they weren't able to play their audio properly because basically you took a bunch of random characters and they were doing an initial D skit. So it's Akio from Utena versus this guy in the Hachiroku. I'll let this one sink for a bit. And then like to truly defeat Akio from Utena, we para him to death. So they're playing this Eurobeat song called "O Sole Mio." I think they were just beating him to. They were doing the dance routine here, and then in the middle of it, they were just beating him to death to "O Sole Mio." And it was just sad. The sad part was that their music wasn't working. And then I'm like, wait, para can be weaponized? So yeah, it was like Akio versus the Hachiroku. And he was para to death. Now I kinda wanna dance para now. Okay, yeah, this is my friend's skit here. They had like their niece, I believe, dressed as a giant box of Pocky. And for context, Pocky is like gold at Anime Central, especially during that time. People chant Pocky. You thought the cheer chant was a thing? The Pocky chant was a thing. And these are my buddies here, dressed up as the Anime Central mascots. Oh, and here's our skit. Oh, God. Okay, let me explain this. So this was like the Wild West of masquerades and cosplay contests. And we just came up with this like the day before. So Professor Tomo is hosting a beauty pageant. Who are our contestants? Jessica de Alkirk from Star Ocean. She loves Mula. And we also have Corrector Yui. And the running joke was like, well, Corrector Yui is such a unknown shoujo series. No one knows who Corrector Yui is. Sad. Then we have Noriko. And then we have Kid from Chrono Cross. And like, oh, it's me and Sora, respectively, as Utena and Anthe. I had to explain this one to my parents. And in my upcoming book, the Fangirl Diaries, I explain how I ended up getting a full ride scholarship to my university because I was talking about Anime Central. And of course, to add to the mix of this random anime beauty pageant, Mima from Perfect Blue. And there's me as Utena, like, just standing valiantly right behind him. And I do love the originality in this, because, like, when you see, like, Pocky, you see, like, the original chocolate flavor in the red box. We had the pink box. Mima was endorsing Strawberry Pocky. And I just love how the, I forgot who the MC was that year. He's like, yeah, we have Utena, Corrector Yui, Fushugi Yuki, Perfect Blue? It was a beauty pageant hosted by Professor Tomo. You know, we didn't win, but I had a lot of fun on stage. And because, like, the big chant that year was dance, 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 to get anyone to, like, dance on stage, I did something called the Jitterbug Stroll. You could Google it. It was a dance I learned in high school for a 1940s play. I was very shy when it came to, like, dancing. So a friend of mine actually taught me how to jitterbug stroll in our school's chapel. I went to a private Catholic school, and no one was using the chapel for anything because, yeah,
Catholic school kids. Yeah, what better stuff we have to do with our time? It's like, okay, no one's using the chapel. I'll learn how to swing dance here. More costumers. An amazing Slayers group over here. We have the not so safe for work bondage fairies. But yeah, kudos to them if they actually worked with vinyl, if they actually made their costumes, because working with vinyl is a pain in the butt. Make one mistake, oof, you're out. Okay, so who won? You know, honestly, I forgot who won. I know a couple of my friends won, but who were the award winners of the night? Best of Show went to Nameca Godzilla. Yeah, that's pretty amazing. I think that was the inspiration to why Sora wanted to make the Wing Zero. And we made the Wing Zero out of upholstery foam at the hotel the day before the con. Hey, it's how I first learned how to sew straight and utilize a sewing machine. The SK Flone group got second place. Third place went to, I want to assume that this is Lotus Wars, because my brain was like, Delicious in Dungeon? No, Delicious in Dungeon, that's 2024. That's new stuff. Best group. Best presentation went to my friends. Yeah, staff award went to the vinyl group. This is also back in the day when voice actors were also giving out their own awards. Michael's Award. I don't know which Michael it is, but Michael's Award. And we also had Doug Smith's Award. It was a pretty awesome ad. Bruce Lewis's award went to the Para Para group. Initial D versus Utena. Nikki Froberg's award went to my buddy here. I haven't spoken to her in ages. I hope she's doing well. Okay, those are our award winners. Okay, there's a bonus look at the groups from the cosplayers mailing list and American Cosplay Paradise. So this is kind of like where sometimes we would have group photos from the cosplayers mailing list and American Cosplay Paradise. I never did any of these. I wasn't part of the mailing list. I was part of American Cosplay Paradise, but I didn't do the group meetups. And they kind of fizzled out once cosplay.com became a thing, and we had the cosplay.com meetup. Yeah, just 2 photos from there. Okay, now the piece de resistance. But you'll never believe what happened to one of the guests of honor right after the costume contest was over. And you know what? I remember I was there for this. And the reason why we are honoring Jan Scott Frazier tonight was this is the first time I've ever been acquainted with them. So, let's read about this wedding that happened during halftime of Masquerade. When animator Jan Scott Frazier asked artist Steve Bennett and Robert D. Jesus on stage after the costume contest, only a few people knew what was going to happen next. All of Frazier's secret plot. Frazier let the audience in on a surprise when she asked a friend to read an item from a piece of paper. It said, "Welcome to Robert D. Jesus' wedding." It was hard to tell if Bennett or Frazier got the biggest kick out of the announcement. Fantastic it may have seemed, it was no joke. As fans discovered when a wedding party took the stage, complete with the bride in a white gown. De Jesus and his fiancée met a couple of years ago at Anime Central. It turned out that Frazier is an ordained minister in the Universal Unitarian Church and was authorized to perform the ceremony. It went like any other wedding, except Fraser definitely avoided the traditional call for anyone to object to the marriage at the last minute. And it seemed that both parties to the wedding were perfectly agreeable to the proceedings, although they were a little stunned at the idea of getting married in front of a big crowd in an anime convention. And also, I just wanted to add that there was a reception for the entire con. So there was a white tent outside the hotel, and anyone was welcome to grab like some snacks and some wedding cake. And like, hey, I didn't know that I was going to an anime con and a wedding. All right, let's look at some Saturday night costumers. Got Hikaru from Ray Earth. Got some Sailor Moon musicals. Yeah, we've got Miyaka and Noriko. I love how they did their shampoo hair. Yeah, because like 80s anime hair is like all over the place. Aw, it's Duo. I commissioned a Duo cosplay once. Shoes. Oh my god, shoes. What are those? Yeah, this is like the white tent setup here where they have like the reception right afterwards. And this is also the meet the guest reception area. So we did a meet the guest reception type thing with Kirby Morrow and Scott McNeil. I'm not quite sure what this is from. It looks familiar. It has that very retro kind of vibe. Yes, Amuro himself. Oh, that's right. This is supposed to be Menchi from Excel Saga. Ah, Steam Detectives. Thanks, Rams. You got some Steam Detectives cosplayers right here. I love the retro aesthetic. That's probably one anime I slept on back in the day, but maybe I'll check out if it's streaming somewhere. I kind of feel that like the older I get, like, hey, let me just check out some anime that was around when I was a fan, when it was popular, but I just couldn't get into. And I just recently just started watching it. I know a couple years ago, I finally watched the Mermaid Forest OAV. Then recently I saw the TV series, and I didn't care for the TV series as much as I did for the OVA. Ah, that's an awesome Alice. All right, let's go into panel land. What kind of panels were there at Anime Central 2001? Scott McNeil has become Duo Maxwell and Piccolo. And fun fact, Scott McNeil actually did show up to my panel. The first panel I've ever did. And if you look up his body of work, he showed up to our online voice acting panel. And it just still blows my mind to this day. Like, I've hosted like so many panels in the past 10 to 15 years. And I think one of my most memorable experiences, like being a first-time panelist, and Scott McNeil just kind of sitting in the audience just casually. Scott McNeil already has been one of the busiest person in the Canadian voiceover business before he took on anime roles. After more than 100 shows, including 12 voices in an episode of Bucky O'Hare and the Toad Wars, McNeil became the English language voice of Piccolo in Dragon Ball and then Duo Maxwell in Gundam Wing. McNeil is amazed at the intense following that those two fighting men have attracted, and he says he's gotten something astonishing fan mail from those who take the characters very, very seriously. I went online and researched it a bit, and I found this huge thing out there. What does McNeil think about the characters? It's not so much a question of human and not human, he said. Piccolo's emotions come from a human place. He's not an alien, even though he's green. Their energies are very different, but in a certain respect, they're more similar than they appear at first glance. They both consummate warriors, but Piccolo is more subdued. Dio could become Piccolo after 40,000 years of combat. Let's see if any of our Gundam fans in the chat agree with that. Sadly, pictures and words on this page can't convey the experience of sitting in a session with McNeil. He'll effortlessly pop off a dozen voices in as many minutes, something that is needed in the voiceover business. In the film industry, you're limited to physically what you look like, but I can go into a cartoon show and play anything. I played men and women. Once I was a hugely overweight 75-year-old woman, something you don't usually get to play in a film. Okay, Kirby Moro has become Troa Barden and Goku. In 1999, Kirby Moro auditioned for a Japanese cartoon called Gundam Wing. He liked the role of Troa Barden, but he didn't realize until the fan mail started flooding that he realized that his quiet character had become a cult favorite of young female fans. I get a lot of letters from 13-year-old girls and people who make shrines of me on the internet, Moro said. I found a fan site was better than my site, and she was totally up with me. Barden is a reserved person, brooding but ready to fight, and Moro said he's had to work hard to get that intensity across without shouting. By comparison, Goku, from the first English language dub of Dragon Ball, another one of Moro's characters, is much louder. Goku screams through the whole thing. After a 4-hour session, my voice is gone, Moro said about his work in redubbing a large part of Dragon Ball. Goku's lines can be as much grunts and groans in dialogue, and Moro generates those noises by getting close to the microphone and waving his hands around. If I take a punch, I move around a lot, but I try to keep focus on the mic, he said. Moro has worked more North American animation than anime dubbing. To him, North American technique of recording the dialogue before the animation is drawn is more interesting because I have more freedom. In anime dubbing, you have to fit the mouth flaps. If you think a character should be really loud but the mouth doesn't move much, you have to deal with that. Moro will be seen next in the sequel to Slapshot, the cult hockey comedy which made the Hanson brothers into stars. He had to go through 2 auditions for the film, an acting audition and a hockey audition. Fortunately for Moro, he's an active hockey player who has been skating since he was 3 years old. Learn something new every day. Kiya Asamiya spoke about the worlds he builds. Kiya Asamiya never seems to draw the same story twice. The creator of Silent Mobius, Steam Detective's Martian successor Nadeshiko, and Gunhead, doesn't want to be limited to any genre, although he seems to specialize in sci-fi stories. There's only manga that is fun to read and manga that is not fun to read, he said. The sci-fi angles in his stories come with some American influence from movies like Star Wars and exposure to great Japanese artists like Go Nagai. Artificial worlds in Asamiya's stories a vision of the future or a reflection of modern-day Japan. The elements would be different in each work, but there are elements of my wishful thinking of things I want to see and things I wish would not happen and think would make great work. He said, the best example would be Silent Mobius. I don't think anyone would want to live in a world like Silent Mobius or Blade Runner, but it's the kind of world that's exciting to write and dream about. Asamiya joked that he was still waiting to find what happened to the monolith on the moon that was supposed to be discovered, according to author C. Clarke, in 2001. It was hard to tell if Asamiya was joking when he said that he liked the lead character in Steam Detectives better than his other characters because he had only one eye and it's hard to draw eyes in manga style. Asamiya was serious when he noted that he wants to make his publishers give proper consideration to his stories, otherwise he feels his children are being abused. He feels none of that abuse from American fans, who Asamiya complimented for a brand of enthusiasm he doesn't see from Japanese fans. Okay, I'm going to take a quick drink break right here. Yuko Kagata spoke with a cheerful voice. Yuko Kagata has a sort of bright, cheerful, high-pitched voice that anime fans have grown to enjoy even if they don't speak Japanese. The young actor has appeared in series such as Corrector Yui, Steam Detectives, and hopes to get a major role one day. She was cheered by the crowd at Anime Central opening ceremonies just for saying good morning, and had fans asking her to say something like an anime character would say. Kagata joked that if I'm surprised, I might come out with an anime character reaction. My friends often say that I act like I popped out of from some anime. That voice nearly was placed in the service of school children. Until my last year of high school, I was going to be a kindergarten teacher, but I had a major sickness and realized the mortality of human beings, Kagata said. I decided to become a voice actor and chase my dream. Yes, she was an anime fan as a child and admired voice actors and wanted to become one herself. But why voice acting as a career choice instead of some other form of acting? It's something you do behind the scenes. Because of that, your acting ability becomes more important, she said. You have to portray the character with your voice alone. Regardless of the language, actors need to create the sound of a character from a picture on a piece of paper or plastic. Kagata said, when I look at the character design and face, I get inspirations for the kind of voice of the character would have. Then I read the script and grasp the character's personality. Since animation is created in Japan before the soundtrack is created, or sometimes before the actors are cast, the cast has to adjust their performance for the amount of the time each character speaks on screen, Kagata said. English language dub actors have to deal with the same factor. Okay, Wendy Lee has moved from Robotech to Digimon. And for those of you who used to tune into Robotech, Wendy Lee was the voice of Lisa Hayes. Oh wait, she wasn't Lisa Hayes, my bad. Wendy Lee sings and dances. She performed on stage and in films, but it wasn't until a sound engineer friend mentioning a casting call for a series called Robotech that she moved into dubbing anime roles. Out playing Vanessa with her big glasses, she was always very worried and lost. Lee got roles in Digimon, Outlaw Star, Cowboy Bebop, and the latest dub of Akira. But Lee has worked in Kidvid, handling shows for the Fox Kids network like Mighty Morphin Power Rangers and VR Troopers. It's a good release for these insane voices inside of me, Lee said. Especially the throat ripper of roles like Scorpina and Power Rangers. And Lee has played boys on occasion like TK in Digimon. Lee's best-known role in anime may have been Faye Valentine in Cowboy Bebop. I thought of her as a big outer shell with a lot of layers inside, Lee said. I used her sexuality to give her confidence and power. The original voice actor was not afraid to lay back and gentry ease into the character, and I did the same thing. While she likes to use a Japanese performance as a general guide, I don't think it's a very challenging creatively to do a performance that's already been done. It's like plagiarizing. On the difference between English language and Japanese female voices, Lee says the high-pitched Japanese sounds don't necessarily translate well into English. It can be grating to our ears, she said. Lee will next appear in The Love Hina and Handmaid May. But she had one sad story about the dub that never was released. She was one of the people who dubbed the dialogue and songs for Tonde Buren series about a girl who turns into a superhero pig. It turned out incredibly adorable, Lee said. It's a very sweet show. It'll be perfect for young kids. It was tasteful and so sweet. However, the producers of the show had to delay the series, and Lee said they eventually lost the rights to Tonde Buren. So the completed dubs ready to be released are sitting on a storage shelf somewhere. It was so tragic, and it turned out to be fantastic and adorable, Lee lamented. Oh wow, they actually got this guy to show up. Yoshitoshi Abe will keep Lane's secrets. Here's the guy who knew the future. Yoshitoshi Abe will speak freely about the process that led to the creation of Serial Experiments Lane, but he won't give every detail about the meaning of the enigmatic series about a schoolgirl descending into a wired world. That is completely open to interpretation of the viewer, Abe, the show's character designer said. If I gave an official interpretation of the show, it would ruin the fun for the viewer. Lane had an odd development path, Abe said, starting as a game for the Sony PlayStation. The show's producer went to Abe when he was still an art school student, asking him to design the characters. Abe responded with a series of sketches, and the producer picked out the sketches he wanted to match the characters he had in mind. By Japanese standards, Lane is an old series. What? And Abe is glad that it remains popular, although he admits that might be because people are still looking for its meaning. Next on the Lane production team was Nia under 7, with some of the look of Lane through Abe's designs, but a different feeling. Lane was a very dark story, and we decided we didn't want to do another dark story, said Abe. We wanted to do a light, fluffy story, and that created its own hardships. Abe said that the Nia series was born when the producer saw a doodle of a character in one of Abe's notebooks and decided to create a series about the character. Abe's time in art school saw him major was in the traditional Japanese inklings, and that time was a major influence in his later work. When you apply for art school in Japan, the entrance exam is very tough. You're required to draw realistic human anatomy, but in drawing manga, the process is in reducing the number of lines, he said. For Abe, drawing is a form of therapy. He has mixed feelings about the way that people accept his work. Abe is glad that people like his work, but he's embarrassed that his innermost thoughts are revealed to the public. And in the chat, Ramses, you mentioned you played the Lane game. And you're also apologizing to Abe-san. I'm very sorry for what happened to the world. I saw Lane about 10 years ago. And oh my goodness. It makes more sense watching it in present time, than it did back then. When Blue Submarine number 6 was unveiled on the Cartoon Network US, anime fans got their first look at the work of a talented artist who specializes in creating illustrations. I've been doing a lot of covers and illustrations for games, and the producer of Blue Submarine saw my art and contacted me for work, Murata said. The show is known for its mixture of rendered three-dimensional art, especially Murata's beast designs. But Murata doesn't create 3D art. I just use US manufactured markets. I draw on paper using the markers and colored pencils and pastels at times. Just recently for finishing touches and logos. I've started to use Photoshop on the Mac, but I'm slow to adopt it. Anime production is moving from ink and paint to computers, and artwork is moving in the same direction. Murata accepts that, but he still wants to stay with paper. I do think that paper media, such as books, will never disappear, he said. The sense of being able to hold artwork in your own hands is something that people will continue to enjoy and not lose. But seeking analog expressions through digital media may not be the only path to explore. Murata brings a lifelong love of art and drawing to his illustrations and designs. It turned out that I could make a living drawing manga style illustrations, but that wasn't always the case, said Murata. I once drew in the academic style. I tend to be a rather slow artist, and there is a genre of artists who can make a living doing that. For Murata, much of the work comes from the lucrative Japanese video game industry. Okay, if we go into chat, is that an NGS2 that slaps you right across the face with how sad the world is now? That and Videodrome, because I recently saw Videodrome, and after just going through so many YouTube analyses of that movie, oh my goodness. Anyway, I love Blue Submarine 6. It's a good OAV series. Alright, let's talk about some Lisa Ortiz. Lisa Ortiz keeps creating voices. The voice of Lena Inverse has taken on so many new roles since she voiced the lead in Slayers, but she's returned to Lena for a new airing of the show. Ortiz's freshest jobs cover anime and conventional animation. From anime, she's Shiori in the Utena movie, Maytel in the Harlock Saga, Nanako in Magic Users Club, Chris Sign in Twin Signal. She's also recording a new show where she plays a little boy cat, a performance that she modeled after her own cat, and a series animated in Ireland about kids who go back in time and fix things. Ortiz has 2 roles in this show, a good girl and a bad girl. Ortiz likes the work she gets, but she's a little worried about getting the same roles all the time. Lena's the fast-talking character, and you do run into a lot of things when you run into typecasting. I'll go into auditions, and they want to hear a lot of peppy talking things. I do a couple of certain things really well, the characters that are very zippy and talky, but Maytel was great because she was more normal. That Irish-produced series she is voicing also gives Ortiz a chance to try a new style, a more restrained performance where people sound like they're conversing rather than acting. Meanwhile, Ortiz has gone back into the booth to re-record some Lena in Versus lines for an upcoming U.S. television broadcast of Slayers for one of the Fox networks. The changes were needed to adjust the story for broadcast standards and practices. We can't say blood or kill on TV, so they're really replacing words that say blood and kill and probably some boob jokes, said Ortiz. They had to change crimson blood that flows to crimson river that flows. I thought that was very hysterical to me, being a woman, considering that the way Lena loses her powers. What will Ortiz think about being able to see her work usually on home video or on broadcast TV? It'll be nice to see Lena. I know they'll be changing stuff and fans will ask, what did they do? I feel the same way, but it's a good validation because it was my baby. I say, that's cool. And Rams in the chat says, it never happened. Probably for the best. Mika Akitaka keeps creating mobile suits. Okay, for our giant robot fans. He designed some of the most distinctive fighting robots that anime has seen. He also designed a group of cute girls for a show he created. How did Gundam's fighting robots and the pretty young females of Galaxy Hotline Yuna come from the same person who do those accomplishments of Mika Akitaka have in common? It's not like it suddenly showed up this way, Akitaka said. I've always been an illustrator. It just happens that my works have gotten attention now. I've always thought it would be cute to draw girls with mechanical armor on them, and that turned out to be Yuna. Giant robots seem to be universally popular, and Akitaka has some thoughts about the popularity. As for Japan, watching big things duke it out seems to be cathartic for children, and I think that seems to be a phenomenon that will take root over here, seeing how shows like Power Rangers are popular here. Japanese children seem to like the big double Zeta Gundam the best, while Akitaka's favorite Gundam is the one he designs for the 0083 series. Children had better like the Gundam designs because they're made to sell as much as to be animated. Since Gundams are turned into toys and model kits, Akitaka said those designs had to be realistic enough so they can be manufactured in miniature and look good. For that commercial reason, the producers and directors of the Gundam series have a big say in the appearance of the giant robots. Could Akitaka make a real Gundam? Given today's metal refining, I think it would be impossible to build an 18-meter robot that could stand under its own weight. But you have to put the Gundam in outer space. I think it would be possible. A real Gundam, you say? And the author created the infamous notes page. So this is where we conclude our report with Kevin Lillard. And but before, we've got some notes in the chat. Oh man, let's show him what Japan has been doing in reference to the Gundam statue in Yokohama. Wrangle him from 2001. All right, let's read Kevin Lillard's notes on Anime Central 2001. The author threw this page together before packing his bags and making a mad dash for home. When one day the convention left to run, that pesky need to go back to the real world got in the way again. Sorry. But that was the only thing that went wrong for the author all weekend. The trip got got off to a great start with the author, but all jumping up and down in celebration when he got to the hotel. For once, the author's travel strategy worked to perfection. He avoided Chicagoland's notorious traffic by arriving at the hotel at 3:30 a.m. Chicago traffic started to get insane at 5 a.m., so the early arrival was a necessary move, especially since the Chicago area was drenched in rain on Friday morning. I do remember that. And getting to town so early meant the author was able to get a second floor room, thus avoiding the real traffic jam of the weekend, the wait of the 3 elevators. The author dodged a major bullet on the trip to the convention. Driving onto the Tri-State Tollway during the Friday morning rain, the author bore down on the neon that was drifting on the left. The author tried to overtake, but the neon never stopped drifting until it slapped the Jersey barriers on the tollway's median. That seemed to wake up the neon driver as the car drifted to a halt. The adventure continued when the author arrived at the hotel and had to circle the building to find a temporary entrance. Anime Central's officials had been kind enough to warn fans on their mailing list that the hotel was torn up for construction, something that had been thrown at them at the event last minute. The construction was an annoyance, but the event would have overwhelmed the hotel regardless of what was being rebuilt. Every one of the hotel's halls was overstuffed, and the author filled more space than most with his bulk augmented by his huge camera and laptop bags. He apologizes for the people who had to wait while he lined up shots of costumers in those crowded halls. Anime Central had more fans on the first day of 2001 for all of the inaugural event in 1998. Haven't we seen that pattern before? And the convention had to seek a larger site for 2002, the Hyatt Macross, or O'Hare Airport, at O'Hare Airport. I've actually been to that, and if you look at the Hyatt Regency in Rosemont, you can't unsee the SDF one. The next year's date in mid-April was announced before the year's event was over, another pattern we'd seen from conventions. Just like the previous convention, SakuraCon, the participants in the Saturday night costume contest had a chilly night at first. The construction forced the costumers to wait in the hotel's big party tent at the far end of the complex, then hoof it to the other end of the hotel and the ballroom where the show was being staged. The participants took it in stride like true troopers, although the audience was rougher and ruder than usual. The chants, dance, dance, quickly grew stale. I remember that. The author got a resounding vote of confidence during Anime Central when a prominent fan said he learned of a voice actor's appearance at a 2001 convention too late to attend, and then realized he probably would have been able to read about that actor's appearance on this site, and he did. The site didn't get to document the appearance of every actor and guest of honor at Anime Central because of the 2-day attendance, but the author hopes things went well. The convention had a neat mix of familiar and fresh faces, making their first convention appearances. Actors Kirby Morrow and Scott McNeil bask in fan attention, and actor Yuko Kagata seemed to have a better time than many of the fans. She even brought her own costumes. But we're still trying to figure out why Brett Weaver played waiter on Saturday night and served drinks to the costume contest judges. After joking with friends that they should have their wedding at a convention, it finally happened to a surprised Robert DeJesus. The author was told by a couple of people that the fix was in and the artist was being set up for the surprise of his life on Saturday night, and it worked to perfection. At least the author's new sped-up strategy worked. During the interview sessions on Friday and Saturday, the author tried to take his laptop PC to the sessions, taking notes on the keyboard and turning those notes into stories. The trick drastically cut the amount of time it took to churn out material. When the author noted on the mailing list that rain tended to fall on Anime Central weekends, a fan playfully accused the author of trying to jinx the convention. The author must have developed supernatural powers because there was rain in Chicago area for the second weekend for the third year in a row. This convention's odd coincidence has to do with business for once. 2 weeks earlier, the author rode a shuttle bus past Boeing Field in Seattle to a convention that was a couple of miles away from the huge Boeing Company aircraft assembly plant in Everett, Washington, not too far from Boeing's corporate home in Seattle. A few weeks before SoccerCon, Boeing's president announced that the company was shopping for a new headquarters city, something the author still does not understand. And on the day before Anime Central, Boeing announced that they were moving to Chicago in a building that was a few miles away from the road the author took to get to the Illinois event. So the author, hang on, I have a cat on my desktop. So the author goes to the convention in Boeing's old home and then heads to a convention in Boeing's new home. Because the author enjoyed the convention so much and so little went wrong, he had hoped to keep sad words from this notebook. That hope ended when he just happened to catch a glimpse of a TV newscast that promoted the feature about remembering popular author. The promo showed a copy of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and a little later, a friend at a convention asked, "Have you heard about Douglas Adams?" Adams was a writer for the BBC when he wrote Hitchhiker as a radio play. It was a hilarious satire on British and human society and manners, disguised as a parody of science fiction. Hitchhiker may have been the most powerful British satire since Jonathan Swift, and it launched Adams' career as a writer. Adams is only 49 years old when he dropped dead, apparently of a heart attack, while working out in a gym in California. The author's friend noted that Adams could have only one epitaph, and that phrase was from a Hitchhiker sequel, was repeated on his website. "So long, and thanks for all the fish." And that concludes Anime Central 2001 by Kevin Lillard. But I also wanted to make this special night of Fansview Fridays. I want to give it up to Jan Scott Fraser, and I wanted to leave all of you with a few kind words before Jan Scott Fraser had passed. So let me just put this up here, and I will read it out loud to you all. So these were the final words. Hang on, let me just fix this a bit. Give me 1 second here. I need to fix things. My bad. Okay, hang on. I have a cat on my desk. Okay, here are her final words to friends. And I hope all of you in the chat who's watching this on demand as well, I hope you get something out of this as well. I have lived a wonderful, magnificent, and amazing life full of love, challenge, and art, and creativity, and friendships. And I want to be remembered for these things when you think of me in the future, rather than be sad when you think of me and grieve. I hope that you will celebrate me by doing something creative, whether it's paint, take a picture, write something, cook something, dance, sing, tell a story, draw, craft, whatever. Creativity is the most important part of my life, and I want as much as possible to be out in the world. Sincerely, Jan Scott Fraser. And with that said, again, Jan, I wish we had a few more chats to really get to know each other. I wish I had taken time to attend more panels, and just to get to know more about your legacy even more. And your memory will live on, and I will do my best to keep the memory of you alive, the memory of Kevin alive, as we go through our Fansview Fridays. In spirit, thank you so much for what you have done and what you have contributed to the anime community, and a lot of its old guard will never forget you. And with that said, thank you so much for checking out Fansview Fridays. This is something we try to do every Friday. I know the holidays kind of make it kind of funky, but we will definitely be back next Friday for Fanime 2001. So I hope to see you all next week at next Friday, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Yeah, like Rams, like I was hoping you would notice the shirt. Rams here is Steve Bennett's millennial equivalent. But likewise, thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. I hope you get to tune in next time around. Thank you for the follows. I really appreciate it. If you're watching this on demand, just keep liking. Tell your friends. Tell like a lot of the old guard that we are keeping the memories of Kevin, Jan, Nikki, those who have gone before us on here, so we can keep this part of fandom alive. And with that said, I wish you all a good evening, and I wish you all a good night. Thank you so much for coming out to the cottage this evening to listen to another edition of Fansview Fridays. And with that said, let's go ahead and let's raid a channel.